Sometimes when you're doing a project like this, you have bad days in a workshop where actually you end up with problems and they end up making you go backwards rather than forwards. Well, sadly, since that time, that's what's happened here. So you can see the bike is less complete now than it was. Let me run through some of the challenges that I've had. So the first one is that I decided that I was not going to fit the Atlas centre stand. I spent a lot of time modifying the one that I got, and I was unhappy with the way in which it was going to have to fix to the bike. And the last thing you want is the bike to fall over. So I opted to scrap the idea of fitting this Atlas centre stand, mainly because the only place that I could really fit it on was off the, let me see if you can get to see it, these aluminium plates down here that hold the engine to the gearbox and then that to the frame. And I just wasn't happy with it. And also it was going to be ugly. It was going to just be ugly. So I scrapped that idea. And I went back to the idea of using the paddock stands, and I faffed around with the paddock stands for some time, and actually, because I was worried about it, I took the fuel tank off. That's why the fuel tank is off, because I didn't want it to fall over, and dent the tank. I would be really upset if that happened. So I took the tank off, and that's here. The tank is off, it's here. And then I've been faffing about with the paddock stand, which I've now done. So I've now actually fitted some bobbins down on the shock absorber lower points, extended to put some longer bolts in, and actually it looks quite nice. I mean, it is, you know, it's a pseudo racing replica type bike, so it looks okay. So I'm happy with that now. And now with this paddock stand, you can see it's really, really solid. Which has enabled me then to get on to the next bit, which I was telling you about, which was getting the exhausts on and the rear sets on. And that came out with two problems. So the first one was that actually they clashed. The rear sets and the exhausts were just not going to fit without hitting each other. So obviously I've got a movement about where the rear sets go, and you can see here, this is where I'm currently fiddling around with them. That's where they're going to go. Means changing all linkages and all that sort of stuff, but there you go. Anyway, so they're going to do that, but I don't have flexibility with where the exhaust goes. The exhaust goes where it goes. So plan is to get the exhaust on first. So then I was sat on the bike for the first time ever and realised that the Kickstart mechanism that I had the Kickstart I had was a fixed one like this. You can see it was a fixed one like that, and it stuck out right into my knee. So there was no chance I could cope with that. So after great expense, I found this Kickstart here, which is obviously off a Triumph, as you can see, and it pivots out of the way, but most importantly, when it's in, it's tucked in and doesn't bang into my knee, which is much better. However, I then found that the clutch release bracket here, we can still see here it's touching, but it was actually on the other side of the Kickstart. It was out where my finger is, which was never going to work. So I've had to take off the casing off this side, and I've then had to reduce the length of the cross shaft that goes through for the clutch release. So that's why that's off as well. So that's a right pain, really. But there we go. that's where we are now. I've now got to noticed actually, now I've got this primary casing off, that actually, can you see, it's been catching here and there. So still some modifications to be done on that casing too. Anyway, so my hope is that I will get to get that clashing sorted out, and maybe get an exhaust on. The side stand, which I've now decided I'm going to go to complement the paddock stand, has arrived, which will be much better. So there we go. You have these days, don't you? You have these days, and that's what makes it fun. Okay, take care. I don't normally do two-part video, but I thought after that last one, which was a little bit depressing because everything had gone wrong, I'd give a quick bit of an update. So, from the last video, you can see now have exhausts on. So the exhausts are on, which little fab, both sides. Really, really pleased with them. Yeah, so very happy with all of the exhausts. The problems around the rear sets continue though, because, as I mentioned in the previous video, the exhaust clashed with where I wanted to mount the rear sets. It's still something I'm working out at the moment. I think I'm getting there, but I'm not going to be able to use the rear sets I originally bought, which is a bit disappointing, but anyway, we can sort something out. But as you can see, progress is being made. It's getting pretty damn close to ready to run. Got to get it out of this workshop, and then once it's out of the workshop, I can then think about getting some fuel in it, some oil in it, and seeing if it'll start. So this year, I am determined it will be this year. Okay, anyway, just thought I'd finish this video off with a bit more of a positive update. Okay.